Hey everybody, it is me, Vincent. Welcome back to another Vincent Vision. We are coming to you once again from Epic Universe, the brand new big park with so many giant epic attractions. Wow, bang, bang, boom. Today, we're focusing on the smaller things, the little details that can be easy to miss when you're visiting this brand new park. So welcome to another episode of Vincent Vision. Watch out. Here in Celestial Park, water plays a really big part of Epic Universe. There are many different fountains and bodies of water here in this area of Epic Universe, but the only one that you can play in is called Astronomica, right next to the Constellation Carousel. This is a really great area for kids to cool off, but a cool little detail in this area that a lot of people don't pick up on, that Astronomica is actually a compass that shows you all the points of interest here at Epic Universe. There are medallions pointing to each of the portals and even the Helios Grand Hotel. So just in case you didn't already know where everything was, you can head over to Astronomica and get pointed towards the right direction. Another fun little detail here in Celestial Park is the world building in various emporia. Now this shop is owned by a character here in Celestial Park known as Vincent Various. And here you can actually see his workshop up on the second level of the store. If you look up, you can see a giant telescope that he uses to look out into the stars to find other worlds to go to. You can see his work desk, and a fun little world building detail is you can see the blackboard where he has all of the plans on how to create portals to other worlds. You can see a drawing of the Epic Universe portals on there and a constellation map right in the middle. Fun fact about that constellation map, all those little dots that you see are different points in Celestial Park, the North and South Star being the entrance to the park and the Helios Grand Hotel. Inside Otherworlds Mercantile, the big gift shop here at Epic Universe, right in the center of the store, there's this big planetarium telescopic globe thing. There's a really beautiful design on the ceiling over there, and they're actually all different constellations linked to the attractions, restaurants, and experiences here in Celestial Park. The other thing too is these are all real constellations out in space as well. For example, Leper, the rabbit, that's actually the rabbit connected to the Luna statue right at the entrance of the park. Same thing with Corvus, he's attached to the Helios statue over by the hotel. You can see the fish from Atlantic, you can see the blue dragon and the Pegasus on top of the Constellation Carousel. A really cool detail that I did not notice until I saw it for the first time today filming this video. Seeing new stuff every day. Another store worth checking out here in Celestial Park is Moonship Chocolates. This is where you will find the very famous bear, Captain Cacao. This is his candy shop, and this store is worth checking out because it's actually very detailed inside. As soon as you enter, you are on Maya the Explorer and Captain Cacao's ship. And one of my favorite little details is that the door that leads to the backstage area for team members is actually themed to look like a door on the ship. So this is the door that Maya the Explorer uses, and it's got one of my favorite little theme park things, which is big door, little door. Captain Cacao has his own teddy bear sized door as well, and there's even a smaller door under the Captain Cacao door that says ML. I don't think we've been introduced to this ML character, but I'm hoping that we get to see them in the park sometime soon because Captain Cacao is super popular. Something I love as well is that there's a team members only sign right next to the actual door, but on the Captain Cacao door, there's a little tiny plaque that looks exactly like it that says Captain Cacao only. I'm glad that Captain Cacao, the sort of unexpected star of Epic Universe, has this much love in the park. At the center of Celestial Park is Constellation Carousel, a ride I have yet to go on, okay? I'm sorry. I know some people mentioned it in a previous video, but I haven't gone on this ride yet. I just haven't, okay? It takes a really long time to get people on and off this thing. But I have admired its beauty many times, and something that I really enjoy about this attraction is all of the wonderful stained glass all around it. In fact, the stained glass all around the border of the Constellation Carousel is actually all lunar cycles, all the different phases of the moon, which fits in perfectly with Celestial Park. So if you're someone like me who doesn't ride Constellation Carousel, but just wants to admire it, when you come over here, there's this whole walkway. You can walk around, get some beautiful views of the park, and pay a little extra attention to the stained glass here at the carousel. We enter the Dark Universe, the home of the universal monsters. And here in the village of Darkmoor, there are tons of little details that add to the experience. Luckily for you guys, I've actually already done an entire video on the secrets of Darkmoor Village. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about those secrets here. Instead, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to plug that video. You should definitely check that out for a big deep dive into this area of the park. But I will share with you guys some new things I've discovered since making that video. I'm truly learning more and more about the Dark Universe every time I visit. The village of Darkmoor itself has so many fun little details to look out for, but one of my new favorites, right next to the monster makeup experience, is actually a sign for Darkmoor Tattoo, a tattoo parlor here in the village. And if you look closely at the sign, you can see that it's all stitched together with leathery skin. I don't have any tattoos, but if they made a Darkmoor Tattoo, an actual place you can get tattoos here in Dark Universe, I think it would be super, super popular. Then we're gonna head into Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, where I've been able to find actually a few more details hidden in the queue that add to the story and help with the world building and history of the Dark Universe. One of them is actually super easy to miss. As soon as you're entering the queue for Monsters Unchained and you get ready to take a left down that hallway into the queue, right over there on the side and on the bookshelf is the journal of Henry Frankenstein, the creator of the original Frankenstein monster. You can actually stop and read his journal and see his notes on the creation of the beast, how much regret he feels for trying to create a monster like that. And while Henry Frankenstein is regretful of creating the monster, it seems like Victoria is obsessed with trying to control them. Maybe she hasn't really learned from her family. One thing about Henry Frankenstein, though, is he's made some pretty big waves here in Darkmoor. The Frankenstein incident that happened a long time ago when he created that monster, it seems like the villagers have not forgotten about it, because in the extended queue for Monsters Unchained, there's actually the mausoleum where Henry Frankenstein is buried, and you can see that people have graffitied over it, and it says, "Maker of Monsters." So it seems like here in Darkmoor, they are still holding a grudge. And I don't blame them, because this place has definitely lost a lot of tourism over the past couple hundred years since the original Frankenstein incident. But Dark Universe, such a great area with such a great original story and so many little details to see all around you that make this place feel so much more real and spookier. Now we have made it to Super Nintendo World, one of the most popular areas here at Epic Universe. And as far as little details go, honestly, there isn't very much. This land is definitely not subtle. This place is all about the big entrance, big bright colors, big spinning coins. This area is meant to feel like you're in a Mario video game. It does that very, very well. And even though throughout all the extensive history of Nintendo and Mario games, there's not really like that many like little deep cuts referencing other video games. This is kind of like its own universe, its own world. There are some references though for Mario fans. For example, if you go on Yoshi's Adventure, the slow-moving ride here in Super Nintendo World, where you jump on Yoshi's back, as soon as you enter the green pipe to go into the indoor portion of the ride and look to the right, you'll see that the pipe leads to another place, Super Mario Galaxy. And as far as other references, there is another big reference to other Nintendo games here in Super Nintendo World, and that is, of course, you probably know about them already, the Pikmin. The Pikmin are those little red, blue, yellow guys. You've seen them all throughout Super Nintendo World. They have their own set of video games as well, and they exist here in Super Nintendo World. You can find them almost anywhere. They're scattered all throughout the Mushroom Kingdom. You can see them on the Donkey Kong ride. They're even in the hieroglyphics and the walls in the queue for Donkey Kong, and some of them have even made it outside of Super Nintendo World. As you're going through Nintendo, keep your eyes out for those little Pikmin. They are everywhere. They're super cute. They really are kind of like the only little Easter egg hidden detail here in Nintendo. And we have made it to Berk, where we, my friends, have dragons. Why did I say that like that? Anyway, we are here at the How to Train Your Dragon world here at Epic Universe. It is rumbling, so there are no dragons flying in the sky right now, but this area is loaded with tons of references and lots of love to the How to Train Your Dragon series. Looking up stuff for this video, I realized that the HTTYD fandom grows so much bigger than I originally thought, and there's actually a lot of fun references to some of the spin-off shows and movies and specials that have existed with How to Train Your Dragon. For example, one of the first things you see here at the entrance to Berk when you're looking down by the water are a bunch of boats docked at the bay. One of those boats is a very specific boat. It actually belongs to Eret, son of Eret, introduced in the second How to Train Your Dragon movie. You can tell that's his boat right over there with the 2 sails and the hatch that he used to capture dragons before he joined the good guys over in Berk. There's another big sight that catches your eye. It's actually the mountain right in the center of Isle of Berk. This is a mountain that all the way at the tip top has a little hut up there. That is actually a character from How to Train Your Dragon. Her name is Gothi. She is the village elder. She shows up in all the movies and all the shows, and that is actually her hut up there where she lives. This is a really great example of forced perspective, where something is designed to look a certain way. It's meant to look very, very small from a distance, but when you get up close to it, you can see how big it actually is. And that little hut up there is not 500 feet up in the sky. You know, realistically, it's only about 100 feet up in the air, but they have built Gothi's hut. And they've actually built a little Gothi at the hut as well. She's very, very hard to see down here. And even if you try to zoom in with your phone, you can kind of make her out. One of the creatives who worked on the How to Train Your Dragon land actually shared a photo of the Gothi figure all the way up there. Such a great little detail, literally the littlest of the details in this video, but just goes to show you how much thought and attention and love was put into building Epic Universe. The center of the village here at Isle of Berk is an eye-catching sight. It's got that big fountain, it's got the massive mead hall restaurant. But have you ever actually paid attention to this little setup right over here? This is Gobber's Forge. Gobber is a character from the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and he actually does show up here every so often to talk to guests, take photos. But if you look inside Gobber's Forge, you're gonna get to see his dragon. His name is Grump, and he is a big, fat, lazy dragon. He just lays there all day, sleeps all day. Life's good for Grump, but sometimes, if you're really lucky, you will actually get to see Grump breathe fire. That makes Grump the only dragon here in the How to Train Your Dragon world that actually breathes real fire. If you want to see it happen, I would make sure that Gobber is here working the forge, because that's usually when it's most likely to happen. I mean, come on. We have literal fire-breathing dragons here in the Isle of Berk. How cool is that? Really cool detail. Definitely keep your eyes open for that big fat dragon Grump. The big ride here at the Isle of Berk is Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Before you even actually enter the queue, you have to pass through Hiccup's workshop. And in here, there's a lot of stuff to see. You can see his map of Berk, his work table where he comes up with all his plans. You can even see his bed where he sleeps all the way up top. On that bed is a stuffed animal of not just any dragon, but a donkey. What is a donkey, you ask? Well, it's when a dragon and a donkey love each other very much, they create a donkey. And where has that happened? In the movie Shrek, which is also a DreamWorks movie. One of the only references, I think, to another DreamWorks film here in the Isle of Berk. And then right before you get onto Hiccup's Wing Gliders, there's actually a really great reference to one of the How to Train Your Dragon animated shows. There's a video playing showing you all the things. Hey, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. I'm Hiccup. That is being projected by the Dragon's Eye from the Dragon's Race to the Edge show. The Dragon's Eye features a pretty big part in that How to Train Your Dragon show. And there it is, sitting right there on the ledge, serving as the projector for all the safety requirements for the ride. So if you're a big How to Train Your Dragon fan, you've seen all the shows, all the movies, you might recognize that Dragon's Eye. As soon as you go into the load station, look to the right-hand side, you'll see it there. And then lastly, if you are ever here in Isle of Berk, you are surrounded by dragons, but there are some dragons that people try to see more often than others. If for some reason you come here and you're not able to see the cute little night lights out here in Berk, you can actually go into the Toothless Treasures gift shop and see the 3 babies sleeping right above the cash register. They are super cute and super adorable. The cutest little babies here in all of Berk. Bonjour! We have made it to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic world. We have time traveled once again to 1920s Paris, and we are in one of the most detailed areas of the park. There's a bazillion trillion different things to look at here, but I do want to point out some of my favorites. The first off, kind of obvious, everything is in French here. More specifically, what I want you to focus on are the plaques. Like real Paris, a lot of these buildings here in 1920s Wizarding World have a lot of history. And in the plaques all throughout the world, they tell you that history, but in French. One of them, for example, is by Galerie Mirifiques, which is the big gift shop here in the Paris area. It has a whole thing explaining how this store watches over the statue of Montmartre, which is right behind me. This is the statue that people use to go into the magical Paris, and it explains that there. Another one is hidden in this corner over here, right near the Battle of the Ministry ride. It is a plaque showing the winners of all of the chess tournaments, or the Gobstone tournaments, which is a game played in Harry Potter. And it says specifically that the oldest member of the Gobstone Club is a guy named Nicholas Flamel. Very, very old, that particular gentleman. In the hallway leading over to the Goblet Noir, there's a plaque that says that a very famous French singer known by Josephine Bacri lived in this building. Turns out, it's actually based off of a real person. Way back when, in the early 20s, there was a very famous American actress from France known as Josephine Baker. She was a singer, she was a dancer, very similar to this Josephine Bacri here in Wizarding Paris. So, fun little details that you gotta use Google Translate to find. Of course, we are in Paris, right? With beautiful buildings and decorations, and sometimes there are gargoyles on these buildings. It doesn't have to be a big scary gargoyle. For example, here in Cosme Akajor's wand shop, there are some owls. Just like in the real world, sometimes the gargoyles can be funny. The people who made them have a sense of humor. In fact, I think there's actually a gargoyle somewhere, I can't know specifically, but I think they actually have Darth Vader as one of the gargoyles on the statue. Here at Cosme Akajor, you have all the lovely owls, and one of them is holding on to a mouse. Oh no, that is the circle of life, as they would say here in Paris, no? And then lastly, right next to Cosme Akajor is Patisserie Matagot. This looks like a pastry shop that is not yet open here in the Wizarding World, but if you look in the windows, you'll see some very cute pastries of some of the fantastic beasts from the Harry Potter world. Things like the Akame, the Niffler, the Demiguise. These pastries actually show up in the Fantastic Beasts movie. At the end, Jacob Kowalski opens up his bakery shop, and he's actually made pastries based off of these characters. There's a fun little reference for all of you Fantastic Beast fans out there, all 7 of you. You got a little reference to the movies right over there. So obviously here in 1920s Paris, there are tons of magical creatures all around. And this one here, you probably know about already, but it is quite literally a little detail. It is at the lock shop here, right next to the Battle at the Ministry ride. If you look in the window, you will see the smallest of the magical creatures. It is a Bowtruckle, and this specific one is known as Pickett. He is a little lock-picking guy. He is one of Newt Scamander's Fantastic Beasts, and he's very cute and small, and you can see him in the window right over here. What's very fun about Pickett being right over here is that this is one of Universal's smallest animatronics, and right across the street, over at the Battle at the Ministry ride, is one of Universal's biggest animatronics with the Erumpet, the big rhinoceros that you see on the ride. So tons of magical creatures everywhere. This guy right here, he's the littlest of them all. Time to enter the Metroflux and head towards the Battle at the Ministry. One of the biggest rides here at Epic Universe, a true masterclass in epic large-scale rides. And I think you already know how amazing the queue is for this ride. When you enter this room with all of the different talking portraits, this is actually known as the Hall of Ministers. And these are all the former Ministers of Magic. But there is one portrait that has been removed from the wall, and that is the portrait of a gentleman who goes by the name of Pius Thickness. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but this gentleman was the Minister of Magic during the reign of Voldemort. So when Voldemort had taken over the Ministry of Magic and the Death Eaters were in control, Pius was under Voldemort's mind control. So in a way, it was like Voldemort was the Minister of Magic. So because of that, they have removed his portrait from the wall, and you can actually see his frame sitting there in the corner before you head into Dolores Umbridge's office. And that, my friends, is all I've got. Those are many of the little details, the little things to look out for when you visit Epic Universe. I mean, this place is pretty amazing, pretty special, but just like many things in life, it's the little things, right? That's what truly makes you appreciate a place like this. And hopefully when you visit, you can show your friends, you can find this stuff for yourself, and just have a really great time here at this wonderful park. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. It really, really does help. But apart from that, it is time for us to enjoy the nights as the sun sets here at Epic Universe. Thank you guys for watching another Vincent Vision. Watch out! I will see you guys at the next one. Bye-bye.